Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo and I'm delighted to be joined today. In fact, we're going from Los Angeles to Champagne, France right now, which is fantastic. With Jantiene and also Remco with the fantastic movie Camouflage. But for those that haven't seen it, let's take a look at a clip. Thank you so much for both of you being here today. I've got so many questions about Camouflage, but for those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis.
A brief synopsis. Well, it's an animated film, and it's about this middle-aged guy, and he notices that lots of monstrous people called mollusks are being prosecuted. And he's very scared because actually he is also one of these mollusk-like creature monsters, and he doesn't want to be found out. And he doesn't really step up to the prosecution either.
I just want to commend you on, like, firstly, it's a fantastic story, and I was amazed. I mean, it's quite a long, obviously short film, and I was just kept thinking about the amount of work that you put into making this story. My goodness. And, I was so in love with the story. It's so unique. I almost like, can we have like a TV series, please? Can this be a feature film? Because it was just really, really entertaining. And the style of the animation was incredible. Where did the inspiration come from in creating this particular film? Because you've got to have a wild imagination to get there. And I loved it.
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, you got to, want to make a film like this, you got to be like, you got to read a lot of like dystopic novels, like we have both, I think. Also, there's also this kind of like slight political dimension to the movie, of course, because it's more or less about exclusion mechanisms, about fear, about now very topical political things as well. We kind of came up with this, and we're actually wondering a couple of years ago, oh, I hope we're still in time for like this to be topical, but
yeah,
it still is, I think.
But also I think as animation filmmakers, you're always building a completely new world.
That's true.
That's like, we really like that. And well, this was a nice world to build. We would not like to live in this world.
No, I'm happy watching it. Don't know if I want to be in it, but honestly, it was amazing the world that you did create. Now, obviously, the fact that you both co-wrote this, you both directed this. Like, when you're in the writing process, working on this together, creating this world, like, how does your dynamic work together? Because I mean, it really was a great world that you created for us. How does that work in your process?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because, like, we wrote the script together, obviously. Just for the people who are watching, like, I was the one directing it, Jantiene is the one producing it, and we wrote the script together. So we initiated it both together. It's interesting that you ask how we would cooperate, because we were wondering about that ourselves when we started. We kind of went through a process of like trial and error, and like I think we ended up with like Jantiene writing stuff and then handing it over, passing it over to me. And I would be writing stuff, pass it back to her, etc., until we were both satisfied.
Yes, it's a very nice way of working, because when you are writing, you always encounter these problems, and when you're really stuck, you just give it to the other person, and all your problems will be solved. It's like, wow.
And I mean, again, when you've got a great team, it's magic. It's really great. I also want to just commend you as well. I love the score. The music was really just, it really gave a lot to the world that you created. You know, when you're writing something together, do you have a set team that you were going for? How was that kind of process for you? Because I thought it really reflected well to the world that you created.
We start very early on in the film with like inviting artist friends that are very good at their job and ask them for their visions. And I think we have a composer and a sound designer that were on board like pretty early, like actually years before we actually needed them. And they like, yeah, they were great to
Yeah,
work
but
with.
yeah, before we actually needed them, but like at the moment that we already knew, of course, what the film would be about. So like we could have like discussions and conversations with them at that moment already. So like they also kind of contributed to the film on a very early, in a very early stage.
Yes, and also like the background painters. I think we had two background painters that, made all I think it's like 325
Shots.
painted
Wow.
Yeah.
backgrounds film. And there were two background painters, and one of them was like our former intern, um, who, as an intern, already like made something we were impressed by, and then
Yeah, she was very talented.
yeah, she was graduated, and we hired her. And the other one is also a very talented painter who was already working with us on some comics.
What I mean, again, I think this is, you know, something that, goodness me, I'm involved. I still think about this story that you created, and have been since I first saw it. I've seen it a few times now, and I'm just curious, like for you on this journey, creating this world together, was there ever sort of plans or an extension to sort of like create a series, create a feature, keep going on down this path? Is that something that you both thought about, or did you kind of want this to be a singular story?
Not particularly for this world, I would say, but yeah, we do have plans for a feature, which is in like thematically connected, of course, to
Yeah,
camouflage. I think
we're
because
also,
these are our themes. So
yeah, we're
that's
also making a political feature animation film. We're working on the
for adults.
storyboard
Yeah,
right now, and it's set in a European city at war,
Oh wow.
which is also kind of in the news right now.
yeah, it's pretty so
Yeah,
common.
and I think it has some themes with camouflage. And camouflage works, um, it helps us sell this idea and getting money to work on the storyboard right now.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, I love filmmakers, storytellers that are, you know, are courageous and brave, and you know, enough to actually utilize this format of storytelling to talk about what's going on in the world. I think that's so important, and I think you did it so well in Camouflage. And I'm just curious. I'd love to sort of talk to you further about the next projects that you've got coming up. But with Camouflage, like this, I mean, firstly, yes, you created these characters in this world for us, but there was a political element in there that I thought was significant and important. What did you want your audience to take from your film?
that's also interesting because like actually originally I was like I think the like the first initial idea for this film, like the first story idea about the monster camouflaging. Um, was actually, I think, I first went with a kind of a comedy approach, and then it kind of changed while I started working on it, and that's the moment when I asked Jantiene to join me on writing the script. Um, so it went from an original idea of being funny to an idea. Then I realized it could be like a really political thing, and it could be like pretty much dramatic, even a tragedy, I'd
Yeah, but
kind
in
of say.
in a sense, I really hope that the audience, that we inspire the audience to like stand up against fascism
Yeah.
mainly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, goodness me, I think you know, it's funny really, because I mean, since your film was screened with us, and even just moving through the months to where we are today, um, it's sadly creeping in different elements. You know, you find it in the news, you find it in how people are being, and it's a sad fact. And you know, I'm so glad that you made a film that just steps up against that, and how we all need to do that for each other. You know, and I just again, well done for making a film and a stand. And do you feel like in animation you can go that little bit step further than maybe what you would do with other kind of storytelling? Did you find that?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Animation is always metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can actually tell this story without pointing the finger. I mean,
Yeah.
this is not a story about we should all stand up against, I don't know, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Should anyone? Yeah.
Yeah, this is like you should stand up to anyone, because fascism looks a bit different in every country, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
In each historical
Yeah.
phase, of course.
And so we try to make this world where you can see the element of fascism in a very particular way that doesn't exist in any country, not like this, but we all recognize it.
Yeah. I just want to say a big, you know, again, well done to your voiceover actors. They did a, you know, really fantastic job as well, and you know, really thought they gave such a, you know, great characterization to each of the characters. One always curious question we have, especially with any animation we have at New Filmmakers LA and anyone, is what was the length of time that you had to create this? I know that you edited it as well, Remco, but what was the kind of length of time, start to finish, in making this animation?
I think yeah, that's we actually started writing this. I would say like 10 years ago.
Like 10 years
Was
ago.
it 2012?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
we
was.
started writing.
So, but particularly the writing and storyboarding process took us quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
Also because we were like pretty critical.
Yes.
I think
but also we did other stuff in between.
Yeah.
Of course.
I think when we started the animation production, we started that in 2018.
So
it was
that
finished last year.
Yeah. Yeah. So
was it interesting? I mean, you know, I kind of love when a story has started from say 10 years ago and then understanding from today. Like, did you learn? I mean, obviously 10 years is a time period of, you know, quite a long time. Was there elements in there that you felt like, goodness me, we're still kind of in the same place, or did the animation grow in that time as well? Or how was that kind of feeling for you both?
Well, first of all, like this was mostly mostly script and storyboard phase. So yeah, there were several moments where we got like stuck. I think, where we tried like very different directions, got back to that, and I think in the end maybe we more or less returned to pretty much initial thought, right?
Yeah. Yes, but yeah. in making the animation, there's always like little things you can change. I remember when we did like one of the scenes in the subway when there's lots of people, that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, and there was like one character that already looked a bit like her, and we just pushed it, and now it's actually Ruth Bader Ginsburg in the subway.
Wow.
You
Yes.
know?
No. Yeah. I can remember that part. Yeah. That's so interesting. My goodness, I love. So with this particular project, you know, in all the time and love and commitment you've made for it, like, what was, you know, kind of a two-pointer question. What was maybe the biggest challenge you had making it, and then kind of what have you maybe learned or been, you know, learned the most from this particular project?
The biggest challenge was obviously finding enough money to work on it this long.
Yes.
Which I think always a thing for filmmakers. You know,
yeah,
where do you get the money?
Yeah, we're like in a pretty luxury kind of situation compared to American filmmakers, or maybe like most filmmakers worldwide, because the Netherlands has like
short films,
a really good film funding system, like by basically the government.
Yeah.
But they're still like they don't take anything. So you gotta like really have a good script. You gotta have really like you gotta really be prepared like to work really hard on your stuff.
And the other big thing was like getting it done in time, because I think we should have made it in like a year and a half.
Yeah,
that was the plan.
Like, we passed the deadline
several times.
Yeah, we put ourselves several times. So like in the end, like there was only like, well, I just have to go on. I just have to go on. In the end, like almost all the money was finished, of course. Like we basically worked on it.
But that was like the biggest challenge. What was the second part of your question again?
Yeah, no, of course. What maybe from this particular film have you kind of learned the most from this, or is there something that kind of was different with this particular project than others, maybe?
It's a good question. I'm not sure if I have a very snappy answer to that.
No, well,
Like I obviously learned a lot, and you as well, I
yeah.
suppose.
No, but in hindsight, we should have done a lot of things very differently.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
there were choices we should have made in the beginning that we
Like production
postponed.
wise, yeah, yeah.
But otherwise, if we knew everything on forehand, how it's going to be and how difficult it was going to be, I don't know if we would have the heart to make it.
Well, I'm glad that you did make it though, because otherwise you wouldn't have all got to experience it. And I think as artists, that's very humbling and modest of you, because there's always things we want to improve upon in our creativity, right? But just I mean, speaking of which, you did sort of highlight. Obviously, this was so special because this was firstly, there's so many incredible filmmakers that are coming out of the Netherlands, and particularly in the animation. We've had some fantastic animation at New Filmmakers LA. But what was it like to be, in a program that not only was celebrating Dutch filmmakers, but was also celebrating with the Academy Motion Picture Arts and Sciences as part of their program? I bet that was nice to be recognized in that respect as well.
Yeah, it was very, very honorable, of course. And I think, well, of course, it was a pity that we couldn't be there,
I know.
because it was in the middle of the pandemic, and
Yeah.
how to be done about that. But
Well, keep making more films, and then you can come and join us next time in person. So every
back.
December we'll be doing that. So it'd be lovely to meet you both in person. So, but again, well done, because, goodness me, it's a lot to make a film in any juncture, but you pulled through, and it was really wonderful that we had you at our film festival.
Yeah.
And just to kind of close up with that, I'd love to know what is next for you both on the horizon, because we want to watch everything.
Well, at the moment, we're working on like a experimental VR short animation,
Oh,
which is which is like fantasy sci-fi on another planet where they have orgies and fake news.
okay, I love it.
That's basically it.
And we're like writing and storyboarding for our feature film plan right now.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We hope to present that feature film in like 6 or 7 years, so probably 10, but
Amazing, amazing, Well, I mean, you know what's so wonderful, but what you're creating together is, I love how you take us to a place that we should go to, but no one is putting it out there. And I feel like you've got so many incredible things to say, whether it be politically or just a viewpoint, or conversation even. And just kudos to you both. And for all of our filmmaking audience out there, is there any individual piece of advice you'd like to share, maybe as in terms of making an animation, in terms of being a filmmaker? Is there anything individually you go by that you could share with our filmmaking audience?
well, especially for the animation people, you have to do everything up front. Like your whole storyboard should be all.
You gotta have a really good storyboard. That's like the most important thing of an animated film.
And
possibly also for a live action films.
That might be a very good tip for live action filmers as well, to work from a storyboard. We would really recommend it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, listen, we love your films. Keep making more for us. I can't wait to meet you both in person, because, we'd love to celebrate you at a live event, but we really appreciate you bringing it to us, and thank you so much as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us, and we really enjoyed this